everybody is represented. I've got Raider fan in this house.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's right.
Yeah, baby.
I've got Raider fan in this house.
Yeah, over here.
I've got the Bills Mafia in this house. Yeah, the one Bills fan makes more noise than the Raider and Raider fans.
Yeah.
And one dude walking around in a Tony Romo jersey. We are joined right now in studio, on location, by the general manager of the Golden State Warriors. He is entering his 5th season. He was named GM on April 24th, 2012. While he has been here, they have won 73% of their games,
Yes, sir.
2 Western Conference titles, and an NBA championship. He was the 2014-2015 NBA Executive of the Year. He was an NCAA champion at UCLA. Bob Myers. Ladies and gentlemen. Bob, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate the effort. It's been a couple of months. Let me first ask you, has it sunk in that Kevin Durant is a member of the Golden State Warriors?
Man, I saw him. He was working out with our coaches last week, Jim, and he was on the far court, and Steph was on the near court. And I remember looking at the guy next to me. I said, "These guys are they're both on our team." I think it'll sink in first practice, which is about 2 weeks away. So yeah, he's. It's hard to believe. It really is. That's the truth.
When that thing came down, I mean, how did that come down? You've talked about this in brief, but I mean, it sounds great in theory, but you think to yourself, that could never really happen, could it? Exactly how did that thing play out and how did that come down?
You know what? I think it can't. I asked myself that question because I've been asked that question. How does it happen? I didn't think it was going to happen. I should sit here and say we had it all mapped out. We knew. We had no idea. But I think he decided to come play with our players more than anything. You know, I can talk about it as a GM. He liked our organization. I know he liked our fans. I will say that. I know he loved playing in our arena because he's told me that. But I think the bottom line is, like you or me or anybody in their career that has to make a decision or a change, you look at who are you going to be working with. If you're going to change jobs, if I'm going to change jobs, it's about, what's the environment I'm walking into, but who are the people I want to be with every day? And that was Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Iguodala, Draymond, Steve Kerr, all those type of people. Because in professional sports, it's not 9 to 5. You're on the road, you're on a plane, it's emotional, you win together, you lose together. It's more than just a job. So he had to look around and say, do I want to live with these people? Do I want to be part of this family? And I think that's why he came, to be honest.
We're talking to Bob Myers, GM of the Warriors. There's so much to like about your organization and your team. I can see where he'd want to be a part of that. I can see where he'd want to work with these guys. But these guys were doing pretty well without him. Did they want to work with him? What was the team vibe?
That's the right question. I mean, we sat down at the meeting in the Hamptons, and his representative at the time, now his business manager, Rich Kleiman, said, "Why are you guys here?" He said, and I started to answer. I said, "Well, we're here because," he said, "not you." I don't care what you say. He said, "You," and he pointed at Steph, and he said, "You," and Iguodala and Draymond and Klay. Why? You guys won 73 games. You were within a couple minutes of another championship. What are you doing here? It's July 1st. You probably have things you want to do. It's your off season, but you're here. And Hamptons isn't. We didn't have to go 45 minutes. I mean, it's not an easy place to get to.
You got to work to get there.
Yeah, you got to work. So, getting 4 NBA players together in the off season is like herding cats. It's impossible. So just to get them there was a feat, and that's what I was proud of. Actually, all of them were there. But I think their answer was the reason, which is we want to win. We want to win, and bottom line, you're going to help us win. We don't want to just win NBA season games. We want to win championships. And there's nobody better, obviously, and everybody knows this, than Kevin Durant to help you do that. And they all said it in their own way. If you know Steph, he doesn't have an ego. And so when he looked in Kevin's eyes and says, "I want you on this team," and he sent a brilliant text message to him about the fact that, "Hey, Kevin, if you win MVP or I win MVP, it doesn't matter. We're trying to win championships. And if you do win, I'll be in the front row clapping for you at the press conference." That's Steph Curry. And that resonates with a guy like Kevin Durant that says it's not about anything but winning. And that's what our players said. And I think he heard it, and it meant something to him.
Bob Myers joining us. You mentioned Steph. And it was not that long ago that you and he were in a waiting room at a doctor's office as he was dealing with an ankle injury. And there was a thought that this thing may never, ever get better. You look at him now, it's great. But in that moment, at that time, did you have any idea that he'd be where he is right now? And how concerned were you in the moment?
Unbelievably. I didn't know. You know, in your life, and the people listening, the people here in the studio and YouTube, Jim, sometimes bad things happen to really good people. It's part of life. And I was sitting in that room with him thinking, you know, this one doesn't make sense. This is too good a guy, too good a player. The people, the fans, what you've gotten to see from Steph Curry may have never happened. And when you're sitting there with someone like that, of that type of character and ability, and you say, he's a painter that's never going to get a paint picture. It's a singer that's never going to get to sing a song. And so for him, it was a basketball player that was never going to get to shoot the basketball. So you do have, and I don't know if it was running through his mind. It had to be, because we were nowhere. I mean, we were literally nowhere. He was spraining his ankle by making an outlet pass with no one near him. That just doesn't happen in basketball. You sprain your ankle by stepping on somebody's foot, by landing wrong, but not a basic move. And so it was the low point. But I think Jim, by being there, it's allowed him to be where he is now, because he hasn't taken any of it for granted. He's probably one of the hardest workers, if not the hardest worker on our team and in the NBA. So not taking his ability for granted has propelled him to what he is now. But yeah, man, that was, you know, sitting there with him, and it, you know how life sometimes it turns the other way. We could be sitting here and you'd be like, whatever happened to Steph Curry? I'll say, you know, he just never happened. But it happened, and it has happened, and I'm extremely happy for him.
Sometimes it does turn the other way, and sometimes it does not. Bob Myers joining us. Bob, one of my favorite topics, whenever you and I rap, you're averaging a double-double in games played at San Quentin. You're coming off a 43-point, 13-rebound performance last year. When is the game this year, and how are you feeling about the squad this time?
Well, I feel decent.
And for those who don't know, Bob, can you lay this out? I mean, they play games at San Quentin, and you dominate games at San Quentin. Tell me
It's
about
funny.
it.
This is good. You guys, we can talk about San Quentin.
All day, my friend.
Yeah, all day. Nate Thurmond, who you all know, Nate Thurmond was a Bay Area legend, NBA legend. He had his service, just passed away, unbelievable man, and basketball player. He had his service down in South San Francisco. So I was parking my car, I was running a little late, and I was parking in front of this chicken and waffle place, which it's not Roscoe's. You've been to Roscoe's,
Sure.
I'm sure.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's the San Francisco Roscoe's, but I didn't have time to go in.
Is it as good as ours?
I don't know. The guy said it's better.
Okay.
I said, you better than
The guy
Roscoe's?
said it's better.
Yeah, he said it's better. I said, all right, I didn't argue with him.
What's he going to say? We're not as good as
Yeah,
Roscoe's?
right.
We eat our club anyway?
Rare stuff. Yeah, so good. So I'm getting in my car, and this guy says, hey, Bob. And I turn around, and I didn't recognize him. He said, you remember me? I said, no. He said, San Quentin. I said, San Quentin. He said, I'm out. I said, that's great. That's great. He said, you killed us. I said, man, I said, congrats. So I have, first time, because I've been in there 5 or 6 times, I've met somebody that's out, because most of those guys, sadly, they're not getting out. But I will tell you this, and we were just talking about it outside. I was talking about it with Raymond.
Ray Ritter, who I'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, he's
Best.
12 days away, Jim, if you want to know when we're going back. 12
Okay,
days.
12 days away.
12 days. We're
All right,
going
so
Saturday.
What do you take away from those trips?
You know what? You just, what I take away is that I can't judge. I grew up in middle-class America. How I grew up is not how the people in San Quentin grew up. So for me to judge, they've done some bad things. And maybe some people that are out there that are good people, they did some bad things too. But you look at these people, you interact with them, and you realize that some of them had a hard way growing up, and it led to one bad decision, which leads to a life in San Quentin. So what I look at is I appreciate the opportunities I have, but it also gives me empathy for people. I don't know how you grew up. I'm lucky, but there's a lot of people out there that don't have a lot of hope. And when you don't have a lot of hope, you end up doing what you can to live. You're surrounded by people that aren't really trying to help you. They're trying to hurt you. So what I take away from San Quentin is that there's a humanity about it. And there's a lack of judgment, and realizing that, you know what? If you meet anybody, no one is really inherently bad. Nobody's born bad. But life can be rough, and life can take you in a direction and put you in a place like San Quentin for your entire life. When we play these games, Jim, these guys are 20, 23, 24 years old. And it's funny, but it's sad. Some guy said, someone told me a story, because you don't ask people what they did. You just play basketball. And you don't argue calls. It's a couple of things you don't do.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you're filling it up and you're dropping 43 and 15 on them, are you letting them hear that?
No,
Or you're just jogging back, you're jogging back down the floor?
Jogging back, head down. Humility in St. Quentin. But a guy said, somebody said to me, they asked a guy, they said, well, you're a young guy, you got your whole life ahead of you. When you get out, you have a chance to do some things. And the kid looked at the guy and said, no, man. He said, I'm on full scholarship. I'm not getting out of here. Which is sad,
Very
right?
sad.
And the sad thing is, like I said, there's kids in there, that made a mistake when they were 18. But what do you take away? You live your life like you do. You've done a lot of great things, I'm sure, had a lot of life experiences. What I try to do is expose myself to as many things as I can that help shape me. St. Quentin will shape you. You go into that place, it's a prison. It's a serious deal. And you leave different. And how many days do you get to do something where you leave a situation different? Going to get coffee at Starbucks every day, you don't leave much different.
It's not significant
That's
change,
significant
is it?
change. You
Right.
go to St. Quentin, any of you listening or out here, you, Jim, you'll come away a different person and better. But it's up to you to decide how you process it. But I promise you'll look at things a little differently.
Bob Myers, GM for the Golden State Warriors, joins us. The fact of the matter is, Bob, I'm in a place right now where I'm supposed to take a break, and I'm way over. But I really want to ask you this, and it's important to get into this for a minute, if you don't mind. It was 1 year ago that Scott Dinsmore, your brother-in-law, an entrepreneur who left a Fortune 500 company and created the website Live Your Legend, died while climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with his wife Chelsea. Live Your Legend was about encouraging people to find their dream job and pursue it. He delivered a TED Talk called How to Find and Do Work You Love. It's been viewed more than 3.5 million times, and now we're coming up on a year on this. Can you take a few moments? What was Scott like as a person? Or if
No,
you'd
I can
rather
tell
not.
you. I'm happy that you asked. He, like I said, sometimes bad things happen to good people. This is one of them. And people listening or people here or you, Jim, we've had tragedy. I'm sure everybody has. I hadn't up to this point. But you get that phone call. You get that. People know the ones that have gotten that phone call that change your life, and the people in life that pass are especially young, Jim, are sometimes the best people. Whether it's a kid or it's almost like it's that much harder. And some people leave a different mark on the world than others. It's just what it is. And everybody's got great qualities, but man, this guy, he left a mark. He would challenge me. He would encourage me. His parents are beautiful people. My wife. The hardest thing for me is to see. I'd rather suffer. I'd rather have it me than have people that you love see suffer. So, if you care, and I know everybody's busy, listen to his TED Talk. It won't be a waste of time. It'll make you think. Like I said, it'll make you think. Listen to his TED Talk because he was one of a kind. And I could talk all day. I know we got to go to the break, but Jim,
we're fine, actually. Take your time.
I really, for you to ask that question on a sports talk show means a lot to me. I mean, for you to bring that up and remember, because I didn't ask you to ask that. I know Raymond didn't. So that's what we all want. We all want to leave something when we're gone and be remembered, and he absolutely did. And that's what makes it okay to kind of live on, is that what he did while he was here was more than most people do in 100 years. And he was young. But today's a different day because it was a year ago. But I appreciate you asking about it.
Yeah, Bob, I appreciate your response. I struggled with that. I didn't know whether or not that was an appropriate thing to bring up. I know it's the 1 year anniversary, but also knowing you and knowing about him, I didn't know him personally. I know that there's so much inspiration to take from something like that, and he had a message. He had a significant message. In fact, his whole point was, he said, quote, "I've never been so happy in my life. We all need to enjoy the moment." I mean, in effect, is that not the biggest takeaway?
Yeah, he did his wife, now widow, Chelsea, she's carrying on his site, but she put a montage together the night before he passed away.